Today's show is brought to you by StreamTech Drift Boats, the world's most versatile drift boat. Find them at www.streamtechboats.com. I kind of feel bad for these people, but at the same time I don't because they're stupid.
Don't see a circle around yourself, just start pissing everywhere.
Oh, I hate the Dutch.
Welcome to our country, and so
she doesn't really look Canadian. She looks almost American. Just insulted all of Canada.
Oh, every time I see something up, then you got If I'd known that before, I would have just interspaced every other sentence with something horrible.
Well, I haven't felt my feet since I sat down in the chair.
Can you see your feet, though?
No. I'd rather do anything else on the planet than go tip a cow over.
How about Canada? Is there any stream access issues up in Canada?
nobody cares.
Not very much.
Kids, if you don't understand that joke, ask your parents.
Evan, Derek?
Yeah.
Oh, God, here it comes.
Your flies are open.
Thanks.
Grab hold of your flies. This is a podcast for nymphers, strippers, swingers, and dry fly guys. It's the show that brings you stories, instruction, and conservation from three guys who live it every day. This is The Open Fly.
Are we checked?
Yeah, we're checked.
Check.
Checking in.
Check. How do we...
Checking out.
Checking it.
Yep.
Check mark.
Check nymph.
Well,
We're on fire already.
yeah. I think...
Do you have a lozenge in, Kirk? Is that what that is?
I see you brought a new co-host today.
Yes, I did. She's got a face for radio.
Why don't you tell us about our new co-host?
Well, her name is Happy. She's not currently quite living up to her namesake potential, but she's a rescue dog that we've had for, this will be our 4th day. She is small, 45 pounds, if you get a visual of that, with a boxer's body and a head that looks like it might have some Labrador in it. I suppose a lot of people would look at her and say, pit bull.
That's what I did first
That's
thing.
not very politically correct, though.
Yeah, so she's a boxer lab. But she's sweet. She's been through an awful lot in her 1 year and 9-month life, so we're trying to provide her with a little stability now.
Yes.
I don't know that bringing her to the studio of the Open Fly podcast was a good way to provide stability, but here she is.
I'm not very stable today.
That's why I bought treats. I always carry dog treats, Scooby snacks with me.
Much like the dog, I think for the next few days I'm going to be scooting around on my butt instead of walking.
Yes, tell us about your injury, Evan.
Oh, so there I was. I guess I'll start at the end and then work to the beginning.
Wait, that might be funnier than it actually sounds after he tells this story.
While on a work trip last week, stopped through Intercourse, Pennsylvania.
Intercourse.
Yeah. Stopped by Intercourse Canning Company, bought a bunch of special sauces. Was moving said special Intercourse sauces around my kitchen last night, dropped a bottle, stepped on it, cut my foot. And now I'm hobbling around.
50 Shades of Evan. That sounds like it's kind of
Yeah.
We do have some Intercourse chunky medium salsa in the studio today.
spicy.
It's good.
It's quite good,
Yeah.
I will say.
Are you saying intercourse or
Yes.
intercourse?
INTER
Yeah.
course.
It's like internet versus internet.
Interwebs.
Yeah.
No.
Inter.
So, yeah.
Was
How-
there a lot of snow there?
Not in Intercourse, but near it, yes. There's white stuff everywhere.
So it was fairly clean and pristine there.
Yeah, it's a neat little Amish town. It was exciting, but yeah, it was a fun trip. I flew into Baltimore and met up with Jason Shaw, who we had on an episode around this time last year. The
Famous slot fisherman.
Yeah, and we on a loose, let's say, a very loose recommendation from a friend. We went through Priceline and booked a hotel. Got to the hotel.
Isn't that with William Shatner?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
William Shatner helped us book this hotel. Got to the hotel. It was kind of nice and modern, and started noticing a few things about it. And kind of turned out it was pretty much a gay bar with a hotel on it. And so that's where we stayed.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I mean we were comfortable with it.
Yeah. You had a very acoustic fan in your room, if I'm not
Yeah, I mean
mistaken.
this entire trip up to Intercourse was pretty much a like a National Lampoon's movie. We had this fan, like our air conditioner fan or whatever, in the room would come on every 30 minutes or so, and it was so loud that you needed like earplugs to get close to it.
Would you say that the trip built up to a crescendo?
A climax?
Right up? Yes, right.
We did not make it to climax.
Oh, you didn't
Pennsylvania.
get that far.
A little
No.
Triptus Interruptus.
Yeah.
Did you make it to Blue Balls?
Yeah, we made it past that to Intercourse.
Oh, good.
People have no idea.
We don't even have to.
We
beat
need a
this-
map. We need a map of Pennsylvania so people know what we're talking about.
Yeah, we don't even need to use the quacker to beep this stuff out.
No, it'll all show up on the map to Pennsylvania.
I was a little concerned when you posted this video of you hitting something because it was screaming inside of a
box.
box in a.
Oh, that fan? Yeah, we posted a video on Instagram of me using a boot to fix the fan, and it worked. You can go to my Instagram at username Evan sucks at fishing and watch it. You're going to be disappointed, but it's there.
You used a boot?
Yep.
That'll please our Canadian listeners.
Well,
Yeah, so that was my adventure last week, and it was exciting. I'd go back to Intercourse.
A second time.
Yeah, possibly a third.
how long would you wait? Just
I think I'm going to have a 365-day refractory
a big
period.
refractory period. Then. Nice.
The sophomoric humor never gets old.
You know, like Intercourse wasn't even really on the way from Baltimore to Lancaster. We just kind of took a 10-mile detour just so we could have these stories.
Well, that's
Which
not
is
the
priceless.
longest I've gone out of my way for.
Today's show brought to you by KY Products.
Oh dear.
Excellent.
Oh man, we're off to just a brilliant start.
Well,
this
it's
is
a
your
springy-
first. I mean, this might be somebody's first episode of this they ever download.
We'll be gentle. It's
Yeah,
The first time.
we'll eventually talk about fish and fishing, but until then, you just get to hear about our lives.
I think people are just a little bit punchy. It's been a hard, long spring for a lot of people on the East Coast, and especially for you. I mean,
Yeah,
being through Intercourse in such a tough situation like that.
yeah. It was weird flying into Baltimore. Just flying over Chesapeake Bay, just totally frozen over, completely frozen over.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
If you plant ice, you're going to harvest wind.
it was. Yeah, it was a crazy sight to see. And my seatmate next to me at the window lives there was giving me a little history of the area and stuff. And apparently that only happens like every 30 years or something like
The
that.
history of ice on Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds thrilling.
No,
A visit to Intercourse would certainly be in call after that.
yes.
About a month ago, I kind of laughed at the people in New England that were getting the snowstorm and whatnot. Mm-hmm. I just feel downright sorry for them now. They just keep getting hammered and hammered, and here we are. It's going to be 60 degrees and sunny this weekend.
But it's been like this for like a month straight here.
Yeah.
Yeah, while I was there, Jason and I were just the whole time like, how do people do this? I mean, I could barely make it 5 days.
It's rough.
When I lived in Summit County in Colorado for a short time, there were months where it was like 5 and 6 feet of snow on the ground. You know, tunnels through walkways were the norm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it is in some places. You get used to it.
I
Then
guess.
you get mud season, which is even more fun.
Yeah. That takes a long time for that amount of snow to melt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not for me. I will not be moving to the American Northeast anytime soon.
No.
But we do want to advise people not to move to Duval, though, because you can be even more miserable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is an awful, awful place.
You might have to wear sunscreen. Oh, I'm sorry. More of like a lubricant to keep your joints all from rusting because it's so rainy up here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, for like a WD UV
Yeah, I even
50.
packed a bunch of stuff into our trade show crate previous to that show so we could get there and set our trade show booth up and grab rods and reels and everything and go down and do some fishing in central Pennsylvania because there's a few spring creeks that even when it's, wintry cold, they stay wide open, but it was far beyond what either of us were willing to fish in, so we canceled our fishing plans.
That must have been quite something to prevent you guys from going out.
Yeah, well, it did. Yeah, we did not fish in Pennsylvania. So, yeah.
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 But you did other things.
Like Intercourse,
Yep.
which was, that's priceless.
You can put a price on it. You used to be able to put a price on it in Wallace, Idaho, but not anymore.
Yeah. So, concluded my fly fishing show 2015 circuit. I mean, I'll do a few other shows scattered here and there, but that was the quote unquote the fly fishing show brand shows are now done. So
Yes.
the dozens of you that came up and said hi, you're the guy from the podcast. I salute you.
Awesome. They
Yeah.
recognized your face from the podcast.
They did. Like, oh my God, you're the guy from the podcast. I'm like, yeah, that's me.
Nice.
And then they learned that I was much better on the microphone than I am in person, which is really terrible.
Oh, sorry, that's my digital
It's
communications device.
it's very nice, though.
Yeah.
It sounds like
Well-
wind chimes.
Let's get this show actually showing here. Do you want to talk take your segment here, Kirk, the feedback segment?
Sure, I actually have some this time.
Listener feedback.
That's not the theme song.
No, that's right. We got some banjo music and
Cue
farm
it in.
animals. Okay. First up, writes Sylvan Vogel. Just wanted to send a note thanking you guys for all the great info I get from you, not to mention laughs. I just started fly fishing last year, so it's been good to get all this great info on conservation efforts around the country. I'm sending a few photos of places I'm donating to. Maine Rivers is trying to clean up rivers in Maine and hopefully remove a few dams along the way. Specifically, the Mousam River, which has 13 dams on it, none of which have any sort of fish passages. The other is the Maine TU Trout Camp, which is a camp in the summer that teaches kids at a young age how to fish, tie flies, and learn about conservation at an early age. Anyway, wanted to thank you guys again, because I probably wouldn't have even known about these issues or joined TU without your podcast. And maybe you should do some show about Maine, like how ice out probably won't be until May because it's been snowing every damn day out here. Or they're trying to start mining out here, and everyone but the company knows it's a bad idea.
I always forget Maine's a state. It's just kind of out there hiding, and like
Yeah.
nobody lives there.
Well,
So apparently some people do.
some people must live there. I mean, anyway. Sylvan, he's from Portland, Maine, closes with, as always, fuck the Dutch.
Well, for sending money to all the conservation things they did, we'll send him some presents.
Yeah, he sent. Let me check that.
Hey,
again.
email me your shipping address. And unless you listen to this episode, you'll never know you won things. So, because I'm not going to email you, that takes work.
Yeah, he sent a nice donation to both Maine Rivers and the Maine TU Trout Camp. So
Way to go.
good on you, Sylvan.
Hey,
Good on, Sylvan.
all right.
Okay, our next one comes up is from Clinton Euler. Wow, I need to know math before I can leave feedback. No wonder Kirk doesn't have much to do.
I don't know.
Is that a...
I need to know math before I leave feedback. Well, if you're going to do word problems, that's part of it.
No, I was talking about. I think there is a CAPTCHA type thing or a spam bot,
A skill test.
spam detection thing where you got it. What's 2 + 3?
Keeps out the riffraff.
Yeah. Okay.
And it keeps spam bots out and just bumps the IQ of people able to send us messages slightly.
You know, the first time I saw one of those CAPTCHAs that listed a simple addition problem or whatnot, like 1 + 3, I didn't realize that they were wanting you to actually just retype what you saw. I typed in the answer to the equation.
No, I think ours actually wants the answer.
Oh. Well, far be it from us being instructional. You know, it's sort of leaning towards
figure it out
instructional.
yourself. That's our goal, or our point here is not to tell you how to leave feedback, just that you should.
Right.
Anyway, back to it. Seriously, though, I was very happy with episode 25. Authentic was a word you guys used, and that was definitely correct. The on-the-water setting of the call was great, and I learned about all the square groupers. Keep them coming, guys. Love the show. Clinton.
I forgot about square groupers.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I did not have intercourse in Pennsylvania. So, okay, well, 2 feedbacks. That's pretty good. That's
Nice.
better than none.
And fairly positive and favorable, too.
Yeah, I would say. So what I take away from that is that the Open Fly podcast is having an impact. We're making a difference.
I believe that to be true as well.
I'm sorry I wasn't listening.
Of all the Americans, Canadians, and Dutch listening to the podcast, we've made a difference in 2 lives in the last week.
That makes it all worth it.
Yeah.
You can't put a price on that.
No. Well,
And perhaps alienated the nationalities of 2 of probably our staunchest partners, the Dutch and the Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
what if are there? I know there's French Canadians. Are there Dutch Canadians?
I don't know.
I think all the Dutch ended up in Michigan. Kirk has a mouthful of chunky medium salsa from Intercourse Canning Company.
Now we are getting geopolitical.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is just going great, isn't it?
Well, I enjoy the snacks. I mean, of anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I just throw a little spicy
I did,
Intercourse sauce on it.
And,
It's good.
to add to our first feedback there, sending money to the conservation organization stuff, which we asked people to do while we're not acting as a halfway point. People donate to us, and we were donating to organizations like Derek's TU chapter. Mm-hmm. I'd put a stop on the donations to the podcast while I got the taxes and stuff figured out, but I think we're going to start taking donations again. So if you want to make a donation to the podcast, you can email me at theopenflypodcast@gmail.com, and that will help a lot. We're going to need a little bit more funds to, take care of our hosting and all our file hosting and stuff for the year. So
just to clarify, is the email me at theopenflypodcast@gmail.com?
Yes.
Or is it
the openflypodcast@gmail.com?
Okay, sorry. The extra me and at was confusing.
Yeah. Anyway. So, send me an email. Let me know if you want to make a donation. It'll help us keep things hosted.
Sorry. Had a long week.
You just cost the company a couple $100. While we're not talking about fishing stuff, Kirk, do you want to tell everybody about your new longboard obsession?
No, I moved on past that. I'm now into my rescue dog.
Oh, so you're not
longboard. You're an international man of mystery. You are, Mr. Warner.
No, I haven't been out on the longboard since Sunday, but I did get two good sessions in last weekend.
So how do you stand on the longboard and you paddle it? You have like the push. It's like a push pole.
I've got a big stick. It's called the Kahuna Big Stick.
Oh.
And it's about a 5.5 foot long bamboo shaft with a T handle on top. And instead of an aquatic paddle blade like they use in the water, it's a rubber foot that you use to push and propel yourself along on your board.
So this sounds like a slippery slope. Next thing you're going to be getting a stand-up paddleboard.
Oh, I've already got kind of one of those.
Oh, dear.
It's an old windsurf board that we repurposed.
Mm-hmm.
But
one of my last floats down the Skykomish this winter, there was a couple of guys stand-up paddleboarding down the upper float.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Extreme.
Yeah.
But when we were in Hawaii, there was actually every morning down off the point where the surf break was pretty good, there was a guy every day out there on a stand-up paddleboard surfing the waves just like on a regular surfboard. And he was actually doing a better job of it than any of the surfers because he had that ability to catch a wave quickly because he's already standing up. Mm-hmm. And then he used his paddle as a rudder. And
how do you paddle out to the waves? Because when the advantage of laying on the board and paddling out is that you can duck below the cresting waves.
Well, in this particular area, the surf was pretty small, so he'd just go around the end.
This is getting instructional, guys.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
This is not a surfing podcast.
That's true. We can bleep that whole thing out.
just 2 minutes of duck quack. Oh, dear.
Far be it from me to draw things back towards the center, but sometimes I just maybe need to be done.
All right. So do we have any guests today?
Or I think we have a show today, don't we?
Evan's on his phone.
No, that's the boss messaging me. Yes, we do. But first, I wanted to get any updates you have from your TU stuff.
We've got some good updates. So we had our second meeting back in February where we elected or appointed the board of directors and all of our committee chairs. So we are going to be formalizing the charter here just in a couple of days and hope to have everything legal and set by April. before our April 15th meeting, the official, tax day, April 15th. I think what's inspiring is that the majority of the board is made up of either fly shop owners or guides in the area who have really taken it upon themselves to reach out in the community and do some things that I didn't ask them to do, but they did anyways.
That's awesome.
So it's going really, really good. It's going to be great. We've just got to figure out what our direct causes are going to be, because there's so many issues out there. We just got to figure out what's our keystone issues, and then we're just going to go after them. So,
very nice.
Yeah.
I need to do my once a year float down the Yakima here soon with you.
Well, don't delay. It's getting pretty good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Cool, because I think I floated the Yakima 3 or 4 times now and still haven't caught a fish.
Well, yeah, you should definitely go. I posted some photos on my Emerging Rivers Guide Service page of some fish being caught using the photarium from our friends and neighbors down here at the Nave.
Wow.
Yeah,
Fish Conservancy.
I've been having thoughts of trying to do a similar type thing for the Skykomishi area, because that's kind of my home water, and it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of effort going into people doing things like you're doing up on the Yakima.
Well,
not that I'm aware of, at least. I don't see it.
There are TU chapters in the area, but all you have to do is go to one and say, "Hey, I'd like to do this," and then do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get a lot of correspondence from the Sky Valley chapter that I'm appointed a member of based on zip code. They do some things throughout the year, but I don't see a lot of activity going on as far as conservation efforts. I could be wrong, but
perhaps that is a cause that we can align the podcast listeners around. I mean, the Sky and the Skagit and the Stilly and the Sauk and all those S rivers, the Snoqualmie that flows through our fertile valley here, they all need some help.
They do.
That they do.
They all need some help.
It seems like a lot of the groups are very involved in, and we have two on the show, just more involved in the actual management of the fish and going to meetings and stuff, but you don't see a lot of boots on the ground, people just picking shit up.
Yeah.
You know,
and there's ample opportunity for that. Mm-hmm. A lot of opportunity for riparian zone repair and whatnot.
Oh, absolutely.
I saw an episode of Rugged Justice just the other day.
Not that Washington State wildlife officer
It is.
show. My cousin was telling me about that.
And they were actually filming a segment up on the Skagit or the Sky or the Stilly. I forget.
One of the rivers that starts with S.
Right. You head out to your typical access area, and people go to rivers for a bunch of different reasons, but they just happen to be showing people they're going to rivers to shoot up with heroin in their cars. So our game officers are doing more than just protecting fish and wildlife. They're actually enforcing laws on the general public out there. So it would be a tough job to have. I can certainly appreciate it.
Yeah. Cool.
So, and by the way, pick up the phone and call somebody and ask questions. Last time I did that last week, and I spoke with the captain over in Yakima about a barbless, pinching the barbs issue and enforcement, and very personable, very knowledgeable. And if he didn't know the answer, he said, "You know what? I don't know the answer to that. I've looked in the regulations book. I can't find it. I'll go find it and I'll call you back," which he did. So,
and I mean, these are things that can happen on any river system. I mean, we're talking about the S rivers because that's our home waters, but I mean, whether you live in Duval or Intercourse, I mean, the everything, it's all the same. Just get some boots on the ground and start doing things like Derek here.
I wonder what the public art in Intercourse looks like.
A lot of wood carvings, I would think.
Wood carvings.
A lot of whittlers. I think there's a lot of whittlers in Intercourse.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of totem art, maybe.
Well, I know hands.
Well, speaking of art and fish art, Kirk, what do you call fish art?
Fart.
Fart. That's right.
It's just an acronym. It's nothing clever.
No. Our guest today is known for his fart.
Yes, he did he not a year ago provide artwork on the Allen fly box?
Yes, that we did a giveaway on. We did two of them. We had a tarpon and a golden dorado.
Yeah, so if you're one of the guys that won one of those boxes, you want to listen in with us.
It's like a sort of
extra.
Well, and he's not just known for his fart. He has caught, what did it say on his website?
300 fly-caught species.
Yeah, 300 fly-caught species, has traveled the world. He's a been there, done that kind of guy, so hopefully we'll get some good stuff out of him. I've sat around the table and with beers and stuff and listen to some of his stories. And he's a very engaging storyteller. So I'm really talking him up.
Yeah, it sounds like a classic overachiever.
Yeah.
Can anybody guess who it is just yet?
Stick around.
Let's go have a break.
All right.
Let's take the time and read out. This is Derek, and on behalf of Stream Tech Boats, I want to talk to you about 3 factors that I consider really important when you're choosing a drift boat, and that's safety, fun, and performance. These are the safest drift boats around to float out of. They're fun to row, and from a performance standpoint, if you're a professional on the water, all 3 of these factors are important. So let's take a second to hear from the man who designed the boat himself.
I tried pretty much everything, but just none of them were really doing what I wanted. So we set out to design a boat. I'd call it the one boat that would maneuver like the hard boats, that would go in the really rough places, that would float high, that would have all the amenities that come on a hard boat with anchor systems and good leaning. A very nice flat floor that you can inflate hard, that you can stand on. No bolts, no nuts, no pins, no clips, nothing to put it together. For the reasons that it's so good for fishing, it's got this rocker, and so it pivots quickly, and it slides out on the foam pile when you come off big drops. That rocker just climbs right out on the foam pile. A total game changer.
So there you have it. My recommendation, Link's words. Look for us at www.streamtechboats.com. Call Link directly. He'll answer that phone, and he'll get you on your way towards the best drift boat on the market.
Now back to the open fly.
And we are back.
Thanks, Kirk. You did really well.
Nicely done. That was good.
Thanks.
You sounded confident.
I've always wanted to, but it's not my shtick to be the back bringer.
No, but you do need to bring your mic a little closer.
You put a smile on my face to have you bring us back.
Thanks.
So thanks. Appreciate it.
So we're going to reveal the mystery now. Today's guest is Jeff Currier.
Yes.
Jeff, how you doing?
Doing well. How about you guys?
Excellent. So, Jeff, you've caught how many species? Like around 300 on the fly?
Yeah, probably about 325. I've got about 300 exactly 100% documented,
Cool.
and then I got some there's of weird stuff that I'm still working on.
Well, let's go through. Have you caught a brown trout?
1 or 2.
Have you caught
Messier?
we're just going to go through all 300 right now.
Oh, okay.
Have you just kidding.
Alphabetically now?
So, Jeff, you're in Victor, Idaho, correct?
Yep, right in Victor, Idaho.
I didn't
Great place to live.
Well, apparently it is. I didn't realize you could catch 325 different species in that part of, Idaho.
Yeah, it would be actually be kind of tough.
How do you do it then?
I like to travel. I mean, I spend a lot of time on the road and explore a lot of cool places. Actually packing this morning to get ready to go to Sudan. Hopefully pick up a few interesting fish there.
The road to Sudan is a beautiful drive.
Yeah, long drive.
So what's there?
Well, we're going to fish the Red Sea. I was there last year in an exploratory, and we did so much driving around looking at stuff. We fished, but there was a lot of downtime where we weren't fishing this time. We're going to go back and execute the areas that we did best. So, we'll be lots fishing for Indian Ocean triggers, both the yellow margin and the giants, and we'll see some permit. Hopefully, we'll be able to get into them. Last year, it was really tough to see them. We had some overcast, and they were over in waist deep water over grass.
Mm-hmm.
We picked up a few bones, some big bowheart snappers, really cool looking groupers.
So I imagine this is
Spectacular
not an area known for its fly fishing destination status.
No, it's more known as a place. As an American, you probably don't want to go, but everything was totally cool. People were real friendly, and once I got my visa worked out, that was the hard part, getting the visa to go there. But we pulled it off. Had a good trip.
Nice.
Everybody's getting all stoked about going to Cuba, and Jeff's like, "No, I'm going to go to Sudan and do some crazy shit."
Yeah, and if you have to slip in undercover so they don't know you're American, just tell them you're from Canada.
Bad idea. I outgrew that one time in Nicaragua, and I fought for that, and it was kind of like, why would you lie about where you're from? And anyway, I've never lied again. People are still pretty cool.
So I'm digging through your website, and you've got a species list kind of broken down by not only freshwater and saltwater, but also by continent and ocean. So this is just amazing that you've actually pursued all of these fish and caught them on the fly. What sticks out the most? I mean, I know that's an expected question, but there's got to be at least one that was the most impactful.
I like, it changes sometimes, but I really enjoy those golden moss here over in the Himalayas. Those things rock the house.
Yeah, we had
I love that area.
A guest on that was guiding for those. Who was that? I don't remember his name. No, I can't remember.
Let's
either.
let Jeff finish his story.
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, well, that's it. And there's a few other great fish. I love the tigers in Africa. I love the peacocks. Big time into my jungle fish.
I was going to ask if you've gone after the tiger fish. Those things scare the hell out of me.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. No, I've spent a lot of time in Africa, and my first trip to Africa was in 2005, and the wife and I, we hitchhiked from the west side of Africa to the east side over the course of 3 months, and we followed the Zambezi much of the way. And we had some really good fishing. Been back many times. Love it.
No,
do you wet wade the Zambezi, or is that a boots and waders required kind of a trip?
You can't really get in the water in Africa. You get eaten by crocodiles. So.
I don't know. There's like crocodiles. I mean, that's fine. That doesn't bother me too much. You know, big crazy fish doesn't bother me. But hippos, I'm staying the hell away. See a hippo, I'm going to the next waterway.
Yeah, they're bad dudes.
They're all dangerous. The crocs are, they're pretty damn serious in Africa. They're not like the South American caimans, which can be pretty big. I mean, these things, they mean business. Anything that eats a zebra is probably not safe for a human to be around.
Yeah. Do you shoot a lot of video when you go on your exotic travels?
I don't shoot any video myself. I have enough trouble keeping up with editing my photos, but I have done some films in Africa. I've done some Nile perch stuff in Egypt, and then a lot of people have probably saw the Confluence Films movies, and the movie Connect, the last part was tiger fishing in Tanzania. Came out really cool.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome.
Jeff, I'm going to ask you a question about the Keep 'em Wet campaign. Looking at your website, you've got, of course, beautiful pictures of all these fish. And the discussion right now is kind of revolving around, when you're playing and retrieving a fish, keeping it wet the entire time versus, the lift and the photo. Where do you stand on that? I mean, obviously, it's pictures of fish are cool, but I mean, are you on one side of keep them wet or the other, or is there a middle ground that we should all just kind of work towards?
I think that you can. I mean, if you know what you're doing with the fish, you can take them out of the water. You can handle them for a long period of time, really. But you got to know what you're doing. And I mean, I've had proof of it. I've caught the same fish over and over, not only for the course of a summer, say on Flat Creek, but over the course of several years, the same fish. And so they're durable enough to lift in and out of the water. You just got to keep putting them back, keep them as you say, wet. Keep them wet. That's definitely required. But I'm not afraid to take them out of the water for a quick photo.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool. So, in all your travels, I know I've heard while doing the fly fishing show circuit, you sit around and tell some of the stories. What's one experience that kind of sticks out as memorable that makes a good story to tell every once in a while?
Probably the tiger story, and I can't really tell it on here because it takes about 45 minutes. But I do have it on my website if you go to the stories. But yeah, I got stalked by a Bengal tiger in India back in 2008, and it was a really close call. I luckily felt the presence of the animal and had my guard going, and I ran into him face to face, and it was in the pounce position. Luckily I didn't move. We have a lot of mountain lions around here, and you keep your eye on the animal and don't move, and he didn't exactly get up and spook because of looking at me. Luckily, another one of my guys came within, a minute, and two people scared that tiger away.
Wow.
But I felt the presence for over an hour. It was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not something everybody experiences.
No. No, about the most dangerous
No.
animal I run into out here is the occasional stray dog, if that.
Yeah, it was an epic day, and earlier in that day, I caught what at the time was the world record golden mahseer. You know, we released it, but it was a 27-pounder on a small river. It's a pretty incredible day.
It's incredible. Nice.
So where are you originally from?
Oh, New England. I'll say New England because it was a cross between Massachusetts and New Hampshire.
Okay. And then you came west, young man?
Yeah, well, I studied in northern Wisconsin, up by Lake Superior, and did several internships in Minnesota, and just kept working my way west. Lived in Wyoming for 10 years, working at a fly shop in Jackson, and moved over to Idaho because I couldn't afford to live in Jackson.
That's what I've heard, that people that live in Victor work in Jackson, or the people that work in Jackson live in Victor.
Yeah, 75% of them for sure.
Yeah.
Or Drigg, next town over. Long haul, but I did for 18 years.
It sounds like you have a quite the wanderlust. I mean, moving across the country gradually throughout your life. Now you're living in God's country, and yet you're still not content to just stay in one place. You're traveling, and what do you see yourself doing in the future years? Continuing to travel, or plunking down roots and getting a white picket fence and a small yard and just mowing the grass and watching the sunset?
Oh no, it's funny you said that because I do love my yard work. That's my therapy when I'm home. Of course, it's all white out there right now, but no, I don't see myself slowing down. I may not hitchhike across Africa again. I turned 50 this year, and I mean I did a lot of hard trips when I was in my 20s and 30s and 40s. That took a lot out of me, and I know my wife. She's definitely tired of the real hard travel. Although I say that, and she and I are going to Oman the end of April, and we're going to spend 3 weeks kind of camping on the beach over there and see what we get into. Hopefully find some Indo-Pacific permit.
Nice.
So I'll slow down a little bit, but not too much. As long as I can keep my health, I'm going to keep moving.
Yeah. Well, keeping moving will allow you to keep your health, hopefully. That's the whole key to it, is don't let the label of age make you act your age.
I'm talking to Jeff on this trade show circuit. I did learn one fish he hasn't caught yet. And
Steelhead?
Pink salmon.
Pink salmon. Oh.
Am I right on that, Jeff?
Yeah, you're right. There's actually a few easy ones out there that I haven't caught. And one of the things that I want to make sure I do in my life to keep feeling like I'm moving forward with progress is to make sure I catch at least a new species or two every year. Mm-hmm. So if I ever get desperate, if I haven't got it done by, say, August or something, the pink salmon could be one. The other one that it's a really easy one to catch that everybody's shocked I haven't caught is the cobia. Never caught a cobia.
Oh, I'll be doing that in May.
Oh.
So I'll send you pictures.
Cool.
The thing about a pink salmon is that it's an okay species, kind of leave, towards the end. It's fairly low hanging fruit, every couple of years.
Yeah, the river here gets a couple million of them.
A few million of them.
I do a float where we pick up 40, 50, 60 of them in a float.
And then we can go to the donkey hole and I can fish right alongside you and not touch a fish. So.
That's true.
Low hanging fruit is that what they call that species?
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, if you come out in like the first week of September or something, I can guarantee you'd get your first 50 of them, unless you're Kirk.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to know I can fall back on that if I don't get it done between now and then.
Mm-hmm.
So do you fish the hell out of the South Fork, obviously living in Victor, or do you like to seek out smaller local waters?
I fish the South Fork a little bit, but I fish in November, December. Maybe I'll get out there in the next couple of weeks here, but this summer it's a pretty busy river, and I'm just not into it. Mm-hmm. So I do a lot of Henry's Fork stuff, which of course the Henry's Fork gets busy too. But right after a week after the opener, the ranch is usually pretty quiet.
Yeah.
So
and I lake a lot.
Yes.
Big time lake guy.
Wow.
Because you don't see people fishing lakes much.
No, like trout fishing in lakes, or
yeah.
Wow.
I fish Jenny Lake up in Teton Park a lot. I go up to Lewis Lake and Yellowstone.
That's
a lot of good
pretty
stuff.
interesting tidbit, because I mean, so many fly guys are like, "Oh, I fish rivers and just lakes just bore the hell out of me." And here you got a guy that's literally done everything except for catch pink salmon and cobia, and he's like, "Hell yeah, lakes are my thing." That's crazy. I mean, every time.
Well, they're more.
What? Go ahead.
They're more challenging, which is fun. If I go to the South Fork, I know exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to catch a bunch of fish, and I know what fly is going to work, and I know what time we get out the river. It's entertaining once in a while, but I like to go where I might get my ass handed to me, which is quite often on some of the lakes around here. But the fish are big.
Yeah, no, I mean lakes. Every time I go fish a lake, I'm like, this is fun. I don't know why I do this more often. And then I go home and I think about it, and just lakes are. My memories always say like, oh, why would you want to go do that again? But when I'm out there, it's awesome. So maybe I need to remember that every once in a while, because I don't hate it. It's just not something I ever think about going and doing. And it's a refreshing perspective to hear, because you get the river snobbery a lot in the fly fishing community.
Yeah, Jeff, do you do chironomid fishing in the lakes, or are you a streamer stripper?
I do.
Yeah.
No, I do whatever has to be done, but I love the chironomid fishing. I was actually very fortunate to be trained by the English, and got to fish some of the lakes over around Bristol, Chew and Blagden, to name a couple of the two most famous, and did a tournament over there, the World Championships back in, it was probably like 1998 or something, but I got so hooked on that chironomid fishing that when it's happening here, I just go crazy, and I do it, especially up Lake Ebgen Lake, Montana.
Yeah. Interesting. I've never done that.
Let's go
chironomid fishing.
Let's go do it.
We could do that just about anywhere around here.
We just call it beer fishing, because we toss them out, just sit back, drink some beer, wait for things to happen.
Do that.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff.
That's just because I'm really bad at it, and it takes 20 minutes between fish.
Jeff, is this where you thought you were going to be in terms of your career, being an ambassador for fly fishing at this stage? Is this where you thought you would end up, or did this kind of happen by fault?
No, it just happened. I had no idea that was going to happen. I just kept doing my thing and hoping I could make a living. And all of a sudden these weird things just start happening. It's great. I love it. It's really fun.
Good on you.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of everywhere. I mean, you see him at the fly fishing shows selling his art, and then you got art like on various companies' clothing and stuff. I think Sims carries some of your art on their clothing. Is that right?
Yep.
And then I think there was some. Anyway, he's all over the place.
So how do you prioritize what you're going to get engaged in and do and support? I mean, you're an ambassador for a number of really well-known brands. I would assume that you get requests for that, for representation all the time. How do you balance that out and prioritize it?
Well, the bigger companies are not just more advantageous for me financially, but also they're companies that I worked with for a long time. A lot of people don't know, but I ran that fly shop in Jackson, Wyoming, the old Jack Dennis fly shop, for 20 years. So I already had good relationships with, some of the big companies like Winston and Sims and Scientific Anglers and Ross and Abel. And, a lot of those guys that are at those companies have been with those companies a long time, so they're good friends. So it's kind of cool. We're all still together, even though I'm not in the fly shop industry anymore. I've managed to stay in the fly fishing industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the fly fishing industry is really a pretty small world when you look underneath the surface.
Yeah, you don't even have to look that far underneath the surface.
No.
It's pretty small.
Yeah, that's cool though. I mean, there's a lot of great people in the quote unquote industry, and easy to network.
Mm-hmm. So this list of 300 plus you got, what's tops for adding to that next?
Well, it's funny. The top fish right now for me is not a glamorous fish at all. It's going to be in Sudan, and it's called the Picasso triggerfish.
Triggerfish are pretty
Google
sweet.
him up. Yeah, but the Picasso is a unique. He's very small. He doesn't get bigger than about 8 to 12 inches long. But as an artist, a lot of times I look at fish differently than most people, and they call him the Picasso trigger because of the colors on him. And I've had a couple eat my fly. They're really hard to hook because they're small. Triggerfish in general have small mouths. These things are probably so small your pinky wouldn't even fit in there, and you don't want to do that either. By the way,
I gotta know if I would attempt that.
So this morning I put together some real tiny crabs and tiny Crazy Charlie type stuff, so I can land the fish. I was in the Seychelles in December. One of my clients landed one. I got to see it up close. I'm like, wow, that fish is way cooler than I thought when I missed a couple last year in Sudan. So I'm gonna get it done, hopefully.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I actually have a friend that fishes, like fishing reefs is kind of his thing, and the fish that he catches are just insane. Like a lot of the really colorful wrasse species and stuff like that. You ever got into any of that type of fishing?
Oh yeah. I've caught a few of them. They are some of the most beautiful fish on the planet.
Yeah, those wrasse can be crazy, especially. But yeah, just some of those things he pulls off the reefs are just gorgeous. And I would catch them just for the appearance of the fish. I mean, it's just totally worth it.
I did Google that Picasso triggerfish, and that thing looks like it's pretty much all head.
That's kind of triggerfish are.
You can't tail that thing, really.
You know what? You actually bring up a good point here. You know, we're talking about this stuff. People should that are listening should check out my blog. And since 2009, since I started a blog, I've documented every single day of fishing. So like my Sudan trip last year, all 8 days of fishing in Sudan are documented with photographs and story. And you'll see some pictures of these crazy fish.
I also want to add that Picasso Trigger is the name of a really terrible B movie that's one of the lowest rated on RottenTomatoes.com.
Is it porn?
Jeff, what's your blog address?
It's you just go to my website, jeffcurrier.com.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Currier, Currier, not Courier, not Currier.
That's right.
I've seen that. I've seen that mistyped many times about you. So, just to clarify,
and it's Jeff, not Geoff, right?
That's right.
Okay. Say, how's that disc golf course at Grand Teton Brewing Company? Have you played it?
No, I've only golfed twice in my life, and I loved it, so I'm afraid to do it ever again.
Not like disc golf.
Not yet, anyway.
But
yeah, I like hitting balls. My favorite sport is wiffle ball. I play wiffle ball every Saturday night.
That's a sport?
Summertime. Yeah, it is. Big time.
It's baseball with the wiffle ball.
Yeah, you can't hurt yourself too bad.
Oh. I would find a way. I'm known for my accident
prone.
Trying
to stick things in the little holes on the ball there, Evan. I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm hobbling around the house right now because I managed to cut myself the bottom of my foot last night by dropping a jar. So, less than 1 day without an accident in my house.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Jeff, when you're out in the middle of nowhere, especially in these sub-Saharan continents, how often do you encounter medical type emergencies, and are you prepared to take care of yourself?
I'm not very good at it. I've been pretty fortunate. I haven't really had a knock on wood while we're here, but I've not really had a problem other than being bit by a few bad fish. But no, I just have some Band-Aids and some pills if I get sick and stuff like that. I'm a little bit irresponsible probably in some areas, but when you're living out of a backpack, you don't have a lot of room for a big first aid kit. Hopefully someone else will have it, or hopefully I can get out of there. I do use that global rescue, so hopefully if I ever do have a serious problem, they'll come and get me.
Well, you're old enough that you're of the generation back when we ate dirt and rode bikes without helmets and, played outside. So your natural immune system is stronger than most. You probably sustained some head injuries over time, so your brain is calloused and things like that. So
that's how that works.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Yeah. Still don't wear my helmet. I still don't own a helmet.
Yeah,
good. Ride 3 days a week.
Sticking to your guns.
Yeah. So I'll be out in your neck of the woods the 30th of April, 1st and 2nd of May. What should I fish? Where should I go?
Just go to the South Fork.
Oh, yeah, the South Fork might be the only place because that's probably going to be our runoff just about everywhere. Mm-hmm. So I would say that upper stretch of the South Fork will be happening. Maybe the upper stretch of the Snake over in Jackson. Mm-hmm. But I'm purposely out of town at that time of year.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, that tells me the fishing is not going to be very good.
Yeah.
I have an interesting skunk and Jack Daniels story from that campsite that's across that rickety bridge right there out of town, south out of town. I forget the name of it, but I had an unfortunate incident with a skunk and a half a bottle of Jack Daniels there one time.
I guess we're supposed to use our imaginations.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm imagining
You
very.
got both hands free. It's a radio show.
Yeah. Whatever.
Sounds like we've bored Jeff half to death here, so maybe we should let him go.
Now he's thinking about his next trip.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking. I've been thinking about his next trip.
Yeah.
I want to go. Yeah, I want to go fish the Red Sea.
How do you choose some of? I mean, Oman sounds like a pretty random place. I wouldn't close my eyes.
Yeah, where do you get these leads?
A lot of my friends are South African. Because of my African experience, I've got a lot of South African friends. So that side of the world is, I'm in tune with it. Those guys, like here, when I was in my 20s, I explored Central America and South America. Never thought about going over to Africa or that neck of the woods, the Indian Ocean. And then meanwhile, these same South African guys were growing up there, and they never thought about going to Central and South America. It was too far away, so they were fishing Africa in the Indian Ocean. And so we've shared notes, and now we help each other to go to these places. Like one of the guys that I'm going to be fishing with in the Red Sea, who's owner of Tourette Fishing, Fight It in Africa, a great company that offers a lot of cool trips. I'm helping him out with his Costa Rica stuff, and he's helping me out with my African stuff. So I get leads from friends, really, and then, with Google, my goodness, you hear about a permit being caught in Oman, you Google it up, and you find something about it, and here I go.
And do you ever host trips, or do you do the lone wolf thing and just kind of go out and do your own thing?
I did my own thing for a couple of years when I quit the fly shop, and it was too stressful. So now I wisely chose to work with Yellow Dog Fly Fishing Adventures, and I do host trips. That trip to the Seychelles I did in December was a host job for those guys, and I do a lot of their South America, their Brazil trips, and their tigerfish trips in Africa.
Got it.
Cool. Is your wife an angler as well?
Yeah, she's not a freak about it like we are, but she's looking forward to Oman, getting a few casts to permit. She's an incredible angler. She wouldn't tell you that, but she stands out. She's very good.
She seems like she's a lot of fun to take out. Every time I see her, she always seems like she's in good spirits.
She's always laughing.
Yeah.
At me.
Yeah. Well, it gives her reason to get up every day, so she has somebody to laugh at.
I saw just an interesting quote: "Is don't make fun of a woman's choices because you're one of them."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I provide a great deal of amusement and disappointment every day of my wife's life, so. Right on. Well, sounds like we need to let Jeff get on his way to Oman.
Yeah. Sounds good. Well, Jeff,
My shot.
What's that?
On my way to get an update on some of my shots.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, boy.
Rabies.
Get that done.
Yeah. That's the one thing that'll keep me from being a world angler. Like, I got to go get 3 shots. F that. I'm going to go to the Skycomish.
What shots did you have to get to go into Canada?
What do you require when you're going to someplace like Oman? Malaria vaccine?
I don't know what Oman. No, there's no vaccine, but you can take pills for it. But I don't take, even when I go to really bad malaria areas, I don't take the pills. But for instance, my Sudan deal, for Sudan, you have to have the yellow fever certificate to get in the country. And I have yellow fever, but I think mine is expired, so I just want to double check. And just you update things. I have everything, but some need to be updated over the years.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people flying around now. I might even do that measles deal, even though I had measles inoculation when I was a kid, or vaccine when I was a kid. I even had the measles, but they're saying it doesn't hurt to update it for the Middle East right now, so I might do it. We'll see.
Well, if you had the measles, then you might get the shingles, too, and that would be nasty.
Yeah.
I thought that was chicken pox.
Oh,
yeah.
Whatever it is.
You don't want to get shingles.
So.
Yeah, you don't want to get shingles.
No, I don't. I'm going to ask her about that. It's funny, it's on my list.
Ask your doctor. Yeah, we're just a podcast. We're not instructional.
We do offer vaccines out of the studio.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, go to Jeff's website. Again, the address.
Do you want to spell that out for us?
JeffCurrier.com.
Sweet.
JeffCurrier.com. Nice. Check out his blog. Check out his artwork. Help support his travel habits.
Please do.
All right, Jeff, we appreciate it.
Safe travels.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.
Wow, I can't imagine just the amount of travel that he's done and the things he's seen.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe catching 300 species of fish kind of puts you on an ethereal plane. I mean, he sounds very, very... Maybe it's the difference in time zone, but he sounds very, very centered and very just balanced, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Could be the lack of oxygen up there in Victor, but...
Yeah, well, I think you can't get too rattled when you go and see and do. I mean, the guy that stared down a Bengal tiger... After that, not much else would get you excited. Certainly not being on a podcast with the three of us.
I think that would be a little bit, I don't know, my personality type. If I had done that, and I'm sitting behind a car at a stoplight, and it's got, the light turns green, doesn't go for like 5 seconds, I'm like, well, it could be worse. I could be being stalked by a man-eating tiger right now. I'm still going to lay on the damn horn.
Yeah.
But I guess all in perspective.
Yeah,
huh?
and I've heard bits and pieces of that story. It really does take that long to tell, but I've kind of, come to and from that table, and it's a good story. If he's got it up on his website, you should definitely read about it. It's good.
Let's make a contest out of this, a game of some sort. So
how about I can just print it out and read it before the show's over?
Do we have time?
It's not a game.
Go to Jeff's website, read the story about the tiger, and then
write a
send
short
us,
essay.
Yeah, write a short essay telling us what you would have done in Jeff's place.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, jeffcurrier.com. Look for the tiger encounter and send us your brief essay. We'll send you some intercourse
I'll dump some intercourse sauce in an envelope for you.
Or stain the envelope with a bit of intercourse sauce.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, well.
That's cool. I mean, that certainly is it's a lifestyle that's enviable, but it's got to be tough. I mean, I don't know if you made mention of any kids or family, but I mean, traveling around like that is just that's an immense responsibility, as well as just it takes a lot of organization to do stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and getting on these international flights when you live in a place like Victor, Idaho, he would have to take a small flight to a major airport where he can get an international.
Probably goes Victor to Salt Lake to Seattle to
Jackson Hole.
LAX.
Jackson Hole probably has a few people that have the means to fly in their little G4s.
So you think he's just jumping on a plane with?
I mean, it's Jeff Currier.
It is.
He may have
Kind of
his
a big
own
deal.
little Learjet,
might.
emblazoned with a fuselage wrap of his own art.
If he doesn't, perhaps that's a good goal to have.
Or yeah, if Jeff is actually listening to this,
He won't be.
No. Well, he didn't listen to the show yet. There's probably no reason for him to start now.
I know I wouldn't listen again if I was turning in today for the first time.
Yeah.
Of no fault of Jeff's.
No. Fault of mine.
Yeah.
It's my foot.
Yeah.
I'm crippled today, so I'm just not on my game.
I'm distracted by my rescue dog.
I
Derek,
gotta go pee.
So, we all have a valid excuse. We're really not on our game today.
It's all good. We had intercourse jokes.
We did.
I mean, they weren't really jokes. They were quite literal stories.
Yeah.
Did you say literal?
Literal.
Oh, I thought you said something different.
So what's up next for us?
Another show at some point.
Yeah, should we
I don't know.
that?
I've booked the last like 4 or 5. I think it's one of your guys' turn.
I got those guys I want to get on from Fernie. It's a scheduling issue because one of them is a substitute teacher, and he'd have to do the show later.
What's he teach? The grade 4?
The grade 4, yes.
Well, do they do year-round school in Canada, eh?
Well, once school's out, then he guides a million days a year.
Let's try to get a spot on his calendar where it's not school.
Maybe they have a spring break.
Maybe they have spring break.
I'll contact him and see.
Do they
if
have
we can-
spring in Canada?
Well, it's probably called something different.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they probably,
Midwinter
it's probably
break?
shorter too because of the conversion rate. I mean, right now it's like $1.30, so they probably get like that 70% of the time. So they may not even have a spring break. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be.
But it could be the time of the year where they're like, well, we should start, looking at our bookings for this year. We should talk about it with people and talk about the issue.
I made a lot of contacts during the fly fishing show circuit this year, so I've got a queue of potential guests to get on the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we got things.
Shortage of guests.
It's just a matter of when we're going to do it. Hopefully, we can maybe cram 2 into March. I don't know. I don't want to overdo it.
Well, we're going to be competing with March Madness.
Oh,
It's that sports ball tournament. So,
And we're not the first. Hopefully, we are the first choice of podcasts about fishing. But as I peruse Jeff's website, he's been on a number of other internet fly fishing shows. Mm-hmm. And is April Vokey a friend of the show just yet? Have we had her on?
no.
She's got her own little podcast. That
we could help launch her podcast career by having her on our show.
To talk about her podcast.
Yeah.
We'll have a podcast about podcasts and podcasters that do
Sure.
podcasts.
This is the evolution of podcasting, that you talk of other podcasters about podcasting.
Yeah.
Deal.
Excellent.
I don't know.
Okay.
So stay tuned for that.
I don't have her phone number in my contact database, so maybe Evan does, since he's apparently
Yep.
the grand guru.
He's the industry insider.
Yeah.
Palming.
Well, should we let our listeners go?
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to sit right in this chair all day. I need to find a bedpan or something. So.
Hey, here's a great tip I got from a client yesterday. So go to the we'll have somebody go to the store for you. Perhaps your spouse will bring it home for you tonight. Go get a wiffle ball bat.
It's that wiffle ball thing again.
Cut off both ends, and you either pee into the small end or you pee into the large end, whichever one you want. So it's for the boat.
Small end.
Yeah, for the boat. For the boat, you just
Oh yeah, so you got a tube.
you got a tube, just go and then right through the self-bailing floor, and then you got a little bathroom right there on the floor. So maybe a wiffle bat would work for you.
That would be bad.
Where am I going to? I don't have a river underneath my office to.
Yes, you
to
do.
follow.
Just
Liquid
get one of
hot
those
magma.
little portable urinals that people take camping so when you don't want to get out of the tent at night. Mm-hmm. My dad used to carry one of those in his RV, and when he was driving down I-5 through Southern California, where they actually call it the 5, he'd get stuck in traffic so bad he couldn't get off the freeway when he needed to pee, so he had his little travel bottle. He'd be in idle speed in rush hour traffic on I-5, peeing while driving his motorhome.
Hands free.
Well, somebody's going to learn something today.
They are.
I'm going to have to edit that out.
I hit it like this. I hit it like that.
Well, guys,
I hit it with the wiffle ball bat. And the rest of that song?
no.
Just